What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Sports Talk on Tap podcast. We're here. You can find daily videos Monday through Friday covering all the four major sports leagues, whether that be NBA, MLB, NHL, or NFL, games, news, highlights, all that fun stuff. And Nick, in today's episode, it's going to be one of the better episodes for the NBA podcast. Obviously, we have the Olympics going on where France and Germany is in a dogfight, and the game might be concluded when it wraps up. France currently leads by 2 with 38 seconds left. So winner of that will play the winner of Serbia and the U.S., which will be later today, and we'll obviously recap that tomorrow as Nikola Jokic and Bojan Bogdanovic take on the high-powered U.S. team, USA. That's the heavy favorites to win. So that'll be exciting. But in today's episode, we're mainly going to be covering, Nick, our award predictions for next season, and that will obviously include MVP, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year. I believe those are the four. Is there most improved in the NBA?
I think there is. I don't know who won it.
Jalen Williams. I think Jalen Williams won. I think there is most improved. Yeah.
Were we gonna predict all those, or are we gonna do just like the big
ones? I say we do just stick to the big ones, which is what I had written down, which was MVP, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, DPOY of the Year, and Sixth Man of the Year.
Okay. Sixth Man of the Year.
So yeah, might be a sleeper. We'll see. But Nick, I'm curious, obviously, what we have similar, what we have differently. Overall, though, should be very exciting. So with that being said, Nick, which award do you want to start off with?
Let's start with MVP first. I'm going to let you go first because I still have, I got to do the Sixth Man of the Year too. I wasn't.
Yeah, no worries. So with that being said, Nick, MVP, the most proud award. 3 of the last 4 years, it's gone to Nikola Jokic. You could have argued could have gone to Luka, SGA, even Giannis. Those guys are always in the race. But for me, call me a homer, but there's a reason why he has the 6th highest odds behind, I believe, Luka, Jokic, Embiid, Giannis, and SGA. My guy, Team USA scoring leader right now, I'm going to go with Ant-Man to send the Timberwolves in his first MVP at the age of 23. I'm very excited for what he has. I think he's improved every year. Obviously, his best season last year, 26 points per game. Just grabbing assists, rebounds, but also playing elite on-ball defense or high-quality on-ball defense. So that's what makes him so special is his two-way impact. He's obviously, a career highlight reel. And I just think what he did in the playoffs, leading them to the Western Conference Finals, and what he's done with Team USA, being solidified, KD helping him with his shooting, and then just being a mentor there, learning from Curry. I feel like there will be, as great as Ant is, he obviously has a lot of nights where he still makes an impact but doesn't shoot the best, so his numbers don't look the best and obviously isn't as clean as like an SGA, Jokic, or Embiid's numbers. But this year, I think as he gets older, rightfully so, he's going to get more consistent. And just the high-quality two-way impact he has, I feel like, when you have the 6 highest odds, and I just feel like the voter fatigue is going to at some point get Nikola Jokic out. I don't even know if he could have won it last year. I think Luka could have been a better option. SGA is going to be up there, but I'm curious how much he can get better because I feel like he doesn't take a high volume amount of threes, so he's going to be around the 30 points per game, which is great efficiency, a good defender as well. So he's obviously going to be up there, but if he hasn't won the last 2 seasons being that efficient, being the 1 seed, how can he win it? He's going to be obviously up there. He finished number 2, so he's up there. And obviously Luka's going to be up there, but I feel like if Ant provides the offensive efficiency and just his defense being better than Luka's, I think he has an impact over him. And, Giannis, it's going to be tough because Giannis is a freight train, but, at age 30 and, if the Bucks don't win that 50-game mark, you can't really be the MVP, I feel like, unless you're like comfortably a top 3 seed and you're winning, 50-plus games. So that'll be kind of some question marks I have, more so for team success probably with Giannis because obviously it's the numbers and, the defense. But overall, might be a sleeper pick, but, top 6 for a reason. And I think he's only going to continue to get better. So give me Ant-Man to take home the MVP.
All right. I don't mind you being a homer. I don't want to pick Ant just because I think not because I don't think he's going to be good, because I think he's definitely going to be good. He already is one of the best players in the league, but I think about him the same way I might think about Jason Tatum, in that their team is so good that I don't think they're going to get the MVP respect they might deserve. I think a few years ago, I think 2 years ago it might have been, where Jason Tatum averaged like 30 and something, and a lot of Celtics fans were, complaining he should have won MVP. I don't know if Jason Tatum's ever going to win an MVP because he's on such good teams all the time. I don't think he gets that respect, and I
I
worry that the same thing happens to Anthony Edwards.
I see what you mean, but it's more so a media thing, I think, with the Timberwolves, where a lot of people just think it's Ant carrying the team. A lot of people dump on Rudy Gobert for whatever reason. They hate him. But at the end of the day, he is the defensive player of the year. So people just hate on him. And people, for whatever reason, don't like Karl Anthony Towns. He's one of the nicest guys in the league. But in the media and stuff, I think people love Derek White. People really respect Drew Holiday, rightfully so. Those guys are great players. And for the most part, I'd say besides that Miami series, but that was before the end of but that was after the regular season, obviously, and people loved Jaylen Brown up to that point. Really, no question marks until that Miami series came. But obviously, he obviously fixed and works on his game. But I think the media calls the Celtics a super team. People don't do that with the Timberwolves, despite how good of a roster they do have. And I do agree with you, but I feel like the media just hypes up Ant so much, even when he's not playing his best. And sometimes Rudy is the best player in the game. Karl Anthony Towns was the best player in Game 7 against the Nuggets, but they don't give him that love. They don't give the guys around Ant the same love they give Ant, and Ant gets a lot of love, and I like that for him. But they also underappreciate the other Timberwolves guys, where they don't call it a super team; they just call it Ant's team, and it is Ant's team. But there are a lot of guys that help contribute, and I think because people, if you were to ask a Twitter post, Nick, Timberwolves second best player, it's going to Naz Reid in a poll. That's just the way the Timberwolves are. And Naz Reid's good, but that's a little bit of a hot take. But if you were to ask Twitter and just NBA casuals and probably NBA media, because most of them are casuals who do the MVP voting, it is probably, that's just the way it is.
Okay, I agree with your points that maybe, Tatum has more respected teammates, but I don't know. I didn't have Ant. I agree he's going to be one of the best players in the league. I think anybody can tell you that, whether you're a casual or the most, diehard NBA fan. I didn't pick him, however. I picked, when I'm looking at, just the odds list, however. And on this list, I picked the guy one spot above him, he's going to be on a revenge tour. You mentioned him. I think Giannis is going to come back and win MVP. I think he's going to be some sort of unstoppable force. I can't say they're going to be the 1 seed just because I still can't see them being a better overall team than the Celtics. But I think Giannis is going to be, on a mission. He's probably going to be pissed off that he got hurt and they got beat round 1. Then Dame got hurt. And so they really, didn't stand a chance against a team where if Dame and Giannis were healthy, they're probably beating the Pacers in like 5 games. It was the Pacers, yeah. But yeah, I think Giannis is gonna be on a revenge tour for. I think it would be his 3rd MVP or 2nd.
It would be his 3rd because he won back-to-back 2019, 2020.
Okay, I was right. I didn't know I couldn't remember if he got robbed one of the years or something. But
I mean, you could argue he gets robbed every year just because he puts up the points, he puts up the rebounds, the blocks, and the elite defense that someone like Jokic doesn't do. But Jokic is obviously better at different things. So you could argue just his two-way impact. He's the MVP every year, just because that Bucks team without him would be nothing. As we start in the playoffs.
And I was tempted to lean towards Luka as my pick, but I feel like at this point, if Luka hasn't won one, I don't know if they're ever going to give him one, which is why I didn't pick him.
And it's crazy. He's only 25, so there are elements he could get better, but he puts up video game numbers and still, doesn't win it. And I think partially, and I agree some point, is defense should play a role, because that's why if I had a vote last year, I would have voted for SGA just because his defense was on point, and steals aren't everything, but he's a really helpful contributor on that end and leading the youngest team ever to the 1 seed in his efficiency. That would have been me. But at the end of the day, you couldn't go wrong with Luka or Jokic even.
Mhm.
But with that being said, so that are our MVP picks. So definitely not one of the top 3 candidates. We went a little bit outside the box there. But next, we move on to Defensive Player of the Year. And I will say this.
I think I know where you're going with this.
I wholeheartedly agree Rudy should have won it last year. I don't even really get the debate point just because the Spurs defense as a whole was so bad, and team defense is a big thing. And before Rudy got to the Timberwolves were a bottom defensive team. Karl-Anthony Towns didn't really know how to play defense. When Rudy Gobert joins the team, Karl-Anthony Towns becomes not the Jokic stopper, but the Jokic container. So who could have thought that 2 years ago? He would have been called like a sicko. And just the way he elevates the players around him. And I think Ant has taken on a much more defensive approach the last 2 years with a guy like that, Rudy Gobert leading the team. But with that being said, I think the hype in the media, and rightfully so, he's amazing. I think the Spurs defense is still the biggest question mark to if he can win the award, but I do think he'll be the best defensive player in the league next season. I'm going to go with Victor Wembanyama. I think it's the right pick. But if the Spurs still have like around a 20th best defense and the Timberwolves have a top 5, and it's going to be, one of these top guys, or not even Rudy, but if the Grizzlies go back and have a top 5 defense and Jaren Jackson's anchoring it, or Bam Adebayo and the Miami Heat have a top 5 defense, they should win the award. And if the Spurs are around the 10 plus or 15th plus even, I might accept that. But if they're bottom of the half of the league again, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I'm going to go with one of the guys that's anchoring one of the best defenses in the league. So I'm going to go with Wemby, but I'm going to let it be known I think the Spurs will take a big leap, and I think Chris Paul will help some of the younger guys buy into defense more. So I'm excited to see. He's obviously really good Wemby, generational defender. He's going to win multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards as they surround him with better talent, and adding a guy like Stephon Castle will do just that. But, with that being said, I am going to caution just saying, like, if Wemby leads league in blocks and, whatever other stat, just blocks, efficiency, but they're still bottom of the league in defense, I'm going to go with one of the top 5 guys. So I'm going to go with Wemby, but let it be known that, I'm not going to ride or die if he just leads league in blocks, and that's why he's getting the award.
Okay. I'll cut it kind of short because I have the same person. I know that during the school year, I was kind of saying how I thought Wemby was MVP just because I probably look more
MVP?
Or not MVP. Sorry.
Smoking. He's really good. I don't know about MVP.
MVP's in a few years for Wemby, but
for sure.
I was probably looking more so at just the individual stats rather than where the team ranked. But I think I agree with the points you made on that, adding Chris Paul and Stephon Castle, who comes from UConn, who they play, the best, collegiate basketball in the entire country. So he's probably more ready to play NBA defense than most rookies are coming into the league. I think adding those 2 guys is going to be huge for the Spurs defense. I don't think they're going to be on, a Timberwolves level this year. Obviously not. It's going to take time, but I think they're going to get a lot better. Yeah. We're seeing how good Wemby's been defensively in the Olympics, which is, tough. So that's my short answer is Victor Wembanyama. I don't want to, drag it out and make all these points that you just made.
No, I don't either. Yeah. It's not, like a credit. Obviously, Wemby's a great defender. It's not just the blocks and stuff that makes him amazing. He just, is so young and just knows how to utilize the whole court and bails out his teammates at points. But at the end of the day, you got to give the same treatment with every award. And, if we want to keep that same energy, Curry should have won the MVP in 2021 when the Warriors, even though they were the 10th seed, Curry was carrying them to 30 points, and Nikola Jokic, the first MVP, won. It don't matter that he's the 3 seed, and Jamal Murray's injured, and they're still a top 3 seed. It don't matter, because this guy, is just better that season. It's just frustrating because I'm not giving awards to last place teams last season. But if the Spurs can move up, and like I projected, anticipate them to be better, win 30 plus games, maybe be around the 34 mark and just be a respectable defense, there's definitely, he should definitely deserve to be in the conversation and, win it. But, I'm going to give the credit to Rudy, Bam, Jaren Jackson if they lead their teams to top 5 defenses. Yeah. And with that being said, also shout out, since we're on Wemby and Gobert, France holds off Germany to advance to the finals. So France, despite losing to Germany in conference play, they've knocked off Canada and Germany, who were arguably 2 of the biggest threats to the United States. And now France will have a date with either the United States or Serbia in the finals. And that will be a movie to watch for. France are able to get it done. So shout out just the whole team. They've really surprised, even on Wemby's not best shooting night, they're able to get it done. So France moving on in Paris to the Olympic finals. So with that being said, Nick, that will take us to whichever award we want to go next. Coach of the Year, Rookie of the Year.
Let's go Coach of the Year. That one might be a little quicker for me.
Yeah, Coach of the Year. I'm going to keep it short. I think there are a lot of great candidates, but if this team bounces back like I expect them to be in a top 5 seed, I'm going to go with Taylor Jenkins of the Memphis Grizzlies. I think they're due to be a surprise team. People might forget about them because they fell off a little bit due to injuries and whatnot, but full team back, adding guys like Zach Edey, Marcus Smart, who I think still brings defense, even though I still don't like his offense as a shot chucker. I think he'll be good. So overall, I think this team's going to bounce back and take a leap, where I think in the East, we know the Celtics, Bucks, and all of them are going to be good. Same with the West. So give me the Grizzlies. Head coach,
Okay.
Taylor.
All right. I'm going to go with not my guy because it's not my favorite team. Joe Mazzulla, I think, is the betting favorite, but I don't think he's going to win it.
If he didn't win it last year, when is he going to win
it?
Exactly.
Exactly my point. So I'm going to go with another team that I've picked that I think is going to be way better because of another offseason acquisition they've made. I'm going to go with Mike Brown from the Kings. I think the Kings are going to be much better this year, adding DeMar DeRozan. I know I've said it many times on this podcast that I'm a big fan of that move. I think they're going to get much better, and it's going to result in – I think they're going to finish – I can't remember exactly where my projections were, but I want to say I had them top 5 or top 6. I want to say 5. But I think if they finish up there in a loaded West, then Mike Brown definitely deserves the respect of the Coach of the Year award, because I feel like they just don't give it to guys who, it's like what we saw in the NFL with Bill Belichick. Like, for so many years, he was the best coach in the league, but they're not going to give it to him just because, voter fatigue, whatever you want to call it, or just, I don't know.
He never won Coach of the Year, which is a joke.
And so that's just nuts to me. But
yeah,
I think it usually goes to the guy that like improves your team the most, is what I would say. Like, if you go,
I agree. I like that pick. Obviously, I am curious though with Taylor Jenkins and Mike Brown. These were top 3 seeds at one point. So kind of like, how do voters feel about that? Unless, I think a surprise pick could be Ime Udoka if the Rockets, climb up even more. A team that hasn't been there in a while since, the Harden days. But that should be interesting. I like both of our picks.
Another, really surprise pick, because it's, it's a very long shot. But if the Spurs can somehow make the play-in, do they give it to Greg Popovich? If they make it as like a 9 seed or an 8 seed, does Greg Popovich get some love for getting a team that was?
Does that happen? Yeah, for sure. I hope so. Yeah, I love that pick. Overall, though, now we move into Rookie of the Year. Very enticing rookie class. A lot of different ways you could go with this, Nick. A lot of different ways I kind of want to go with this. But I'll go with a guy that, I really like, and I think will be a big part if they are to take another leap. We just were talking about them very briefly, the Rockets. Give me Reed Shepherd. I think Reed Shepherd, just the way he looked in Summer League, I know Summer League isn't everything, but he's just going to be a guy that can consistently knock down a lot of threes. And, I think he's going to be a big offensive spark plug because the Rockets defense was actually surprisingly really good last year. But, they need some offense, and Reed will provide exactly that. And so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I think he's got a lot of potential, top 5 pick for a reason. I like him. I also like my guy, Rob Dillingham, and some other guys. But, I'm going to go with Reed Shepherd.
Okay. Guy with, I think, number 2 odds. That's what I'm looking at right now. Weirdly enough, this isn't my pick, but Zach Edey is the favorite right now, which I think is surprising that he's
That's really weird.
that high.
Okay.
He's the favorite.
It is a weird class, though, because Zachary Rushier, I think, is going to be really good, but I don't know if he's going to be rookie of the year just because his role is just going to be a 3-and-D guy, which is good. I mean, because I think he'll fit that perfectly, but, that's not going to get rookie of the year love necessarily.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, I'm going to go I didn't pick Reed Shepherd, so we do have different picks. He's a little bit lower down on the odds list, but I still think he's going to have an impact on a team that was okay last year, made the playoffs. But I think he's going to have an impact. I think he'll find his way into a starting role. I'm going to pick Dalton Connect to win Rookie of the Year. I think he's going to have an impact.
Not the other Laker.
What's that?
Not the other Laker that was drafted.
I can't pick Bronny. Maybe I'll bet like $5 on Bronny, and then if he wins,
that'd be crazy.
$500. But I can't pick Bronny. I know. I want to say he might have the worst. He has. Looking at the odds right now, out of the options you can pick, Bronny James is plus 30,000. So you can do the math on what that wins you for like a $10 bet. But I'm going to go with Dalton Connect. I think he's, he was SEC Player of the Year, had an incredible final season at Tennessee. Well, I think he's going to have an impact on the Lakers. He's not going to be their top scorer, obviously, with LeBron and AD there and D'Angelo Russell. But I do think he's going to make a big impact if they want to push for a playoff spot in the West, especially.
Yeah, I love that pick. He was so good last year. But with that being said, I'm going to move into another award. The final award we'll be doing, Sixth Man of the Year. It's going to be tough for this one because it changes drastically a lot, but I hate to be biased, but he won it last year. I think this could be a Lou Williams type thing. And I'm going to go with Naz Reid. There was obviously some question marks between him and Malik Monk because that was a good race. But Naz Reid just provides the efficiency. And obviously Malik's decently efficient, not as efficient as Naz Reid. And Naz Reid proved in a starter role when Karl was out that he can get a lot of run. I think as Rudy Gobert gets older, he's going to get more minutes. So we could see Naz Reid around 30-plus minutes at some point. But, I think at the end of the day, what separates him from Malik Monk was the defense. And that's why I was happy that the voters recognized, it is a two-way game at this point. I think, Jalen Johnson, someone that could be up there too. But, with that being said, give me Naz Reid, my guy. Just the aura he has in the NBA is unreal too. And I think all NBA fans love him. And like I said, there's a reason why if you did a poll on Twitter, Naz Reid's probably getting voted second best Timberwolves. So it's going to be good. I'm going to, go with my guy.
Okay. I mean, it's a safe pick to go with the guy who just won it and is probably, I'm assuming he's going to be coming off the bench again, even though he'll be getting, legit minutes with the Timberwolves, but safe pick nonetheless. Now, here's why I kind of struggle making this pick is because I'm just looking at odds to kind of get an idea. And I'm not sure if any of these guys are going to be starting or if it's just their odds, but looking at the odds and everything, the names I see, the pick I want to make is Alex Caruso for the OKC. And I don't know if he's going to be starting, which is why I'm kind of asking you about it first. Do you know if he's going to have a starting?
Alex Caruso?
Yeah. Will he probably be coming off the bench or do you see him starting? Because I don't want to pick him if he's
It depends, I think, lineup-wise, if they want to run the two bigs or not. Because I feel like you could run something where you're doing SGA at point, obviously, Alex Caruso at shooting guard, J-Dub forward, and Lou Dort forwards as well. And then Chet center and then Hartenstein off the bench, or if they run the two bigs. I don't know though. I feel like Alex Caruso most likely will be starting if I had to guess, but there could be last because I think I don't know if you want to put J Dub or Lou Dort at shooting guard, just given they're a little bit bigger, and I don't know if they'd be able to keep up with some quicker guards like that. Even though Lou Dort's a great defender, I think he's more of a bigger body, like a running back. So and Alex Caruso is a great defender as well. So I think Alex Caruso would just be a better matchup against more guards. So I would say Caruso should be starting most time.
Okay. Well, if he's not starting, that's my pick. And then the other pick I want to make is another guy who I also am pretty sure is going to be starting, but he's on this list for whatever reason, is Josh Hart. Like, is he not a starter for the Knicks? I swear he was.
No, since they got Mikal, he's going to be coming off bench.
Okay. Well, then that'll be my more safe. Like, if he's probably coming off the bench, then I think Josh Hart, just because he still gives Thibodeau major minutes just because that's, his coaching style, but he's also one of the best hustle players in the league. He's always getting, 9-10 rebounds a game, which is crazy for a guy his size. Always plays hard. So I guess I'll go Josh Hart, even though on this list that I'm looking at, I want to pick Alex Caruso, but I'll pick Josh Hart because, we're predicting he's going to actually come off the bench, unlike Caruso.
Yeah. And that'll be very interesting to see. I like that pick too. Just a great hard and hustle guy. New York loves him. And when New York loves someone, you're doing something right with that fan base. So, that'll be great to watch, as we approach and see how stupid we look or how smart we look after these predictions. But with that being said, let us know in the comments what you guys think for your award predictions: MVP, Coach of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Most Improved, all that fun stuff. And we're always curious to get your guys' thoughts. But as always, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.